Hi everyone, my name is Yoyo. Welcome to this little video of mine. Today I decided I would do something a little different and do a voiceover while the speed paint happened. That way you guys could get a bit of a feel for who I am and my process of drawing and what I like to do and why I do it. So, first off, I'd like to say, thanks for everyone who subscribed so far, and I hope that my channel continues to grow. I know I just started a couple days ago, but I hope that, this video helps, and if I put it on my friend page, people see it and, they'll be encouraged to subscribe. So, first off, I'm shading the skin right now. And that's where I always start. I think, like with most artists, it gives me a place to start. And skin, I think, is something I have the most difficulty with, just because, sometimes I'm torn between doing it, more painterly and, stylistic, or doing it really realistically and, showing all the elements of the skin. So, I'm torn, and sometimes it makes it a little hard for me. But other than that, I've gotten better at skin, especially since I switched over to a more like painterly style. I used to cell shade a lot, and I would cell shade and then I would take the blur tool, and it made everything look very plasticky and not realistic. So after switching over to this brush tool, everything ends up a little more smooth and creamy, and I think that it makes it look really cute and realistic. So yeah, I like what I do now. So I don't really show the sketching or the lining process in my videos because, one, my sketching process is embarrassing, and I don't know, I draw a lot of things wrong first. I make a lot of mistakes, and it's kind of ugly, and it takes a long time, so there's not really a reason for me to show it. In the future I might. And then as for lining, my lining process is boring as well. Like there's nothing really to see part of it, just because all I'm doing is tracing over my sketch, and it's boring, and I take a long time at lining because it's something I'm kind of bad at as well. It's something I only recently really started to care about. So yeah, in the future I might show it though, but for now I just start with the shading of the flat colors. So now I moved on to the eyes, and I love drawing eyes. I like drawing chibis because I can draw the eyes especially big, and I can put all the cute little details that I love in there, and I don't know, express every little kind of emotion, and it makes the eyes look really dimensional, and they kind of pop off the face, and I think it's really fun to draw like that. So this is just a little chibi doodle I decided to do today. It's actually like a self-portrait of me. I'm really into gothic fashion and music and the subculture, and you don't really see that in my art a lot, so I decided that I would show that today so you could kind of see a little bit about me. When I'm not at work, I like to dress in my gothic outfits. I have a lot of black, green, and gray. It's like my whole wardrobe. I really like frilly stuff, lots of black lace. Some of my favorite things. I have a lot of chunky jewelry that I like to kind of mix and match and throw on. So I thought I'd show that in my art today, so you guys could get a feel for me. And I have short hair, like really short hair. So that's why you see I draw a lot of characters with short hair, because I find it easier and I can connect with my characters more when I draw short hair. I think it's more fun too. I don't know, I feel like it's just easier for me as opposed to drawing long hair. It takes me a really long time. I'm just not used to it. But so yeah, I finished the hair now, so I'm gonna move on to the clothing. And as you can see, I shade really, really colorfully. I hate just dull colors. So when I see an artist, and even myself, I used to do this, if you just take whatever color you're, painting with, and then you just move it down in the color wheel, it's going to end up really dull. So you see me shade with lots of purples and blues because I think that adds a lot to a drawing, and I think it makes things are dimensional in it. It's my personal style, just all the the blues and the purples and those little magentas you see in places. You know, I'll put an overlay layer on my art, and then I'll, you know, just do some splashes of color on every layer. You know, you'll see later, even though the clothes I'm drawing right now are black, I go over after that and I add colors in. I add like just highlights of bright colors, just so it's more dimensional. Like I've said so many times already, it's like my favorite word to use. It's dimensional. I like bows a lot as well. You'll see that in a lot of my art. There's like 50 different lace brushes I have. Oh yeah, and that brings me to the program I use. I use Clip Studio Paint for lots of reasons. I have a Mac, and you know, Paint Tool Sci, I can't use it on a Mac because you can't get the pen pressure. And you know, if you want the pen pressure on Paint Tool Sci, you have to do, you know, a whole process, and you have to do like a Windows emulator, and I'm too lazy and not tech savvy enough for that at all. So I was like, you know, Paint Tool Sci is not going to happen. And then I switched to Photoshop, and Photoshop obviously was great. Photoshop was amazing. There were so many things about it that I thought, you know, were perfect for drawing. And it was easy to use. A little overwhelming at first, obviously, but it was awesome. Unfortunately, it's so expensive. You know, even for just, you know, a single user, I didn't want to pay so much per month. You know, they kept trying to, you know, swindle me into deals and say like, oh, we'll give you another month. You just have to pay $299, you know, $299. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm just a student. You know, I don't have the money for that. So I found out about Clip Studio Paint, also known as Manga Studio, I think. And the whole basis of Manga Studio and Clip Studio Paint, it's to like kind of replicate, you know, all these existing art programs there are. So if you want to know what Clip Studio Paint is like, it's like Sci mixed with Photoshop. So you have the, you know, easy to useness of Sci, you know, the blending of Sci, the tools kind of that Sci has, and the, you know, the complexity and the vastness of Photoshop. You know, the layout looks a lot like Photoshop. The way the brushes work are like Photoshop. You can make brushes like you do in Photoshop. But, you know, Clip Studio Paint has a lot of other things that neither Sci nor Photoshop have. You know, you have tons of fun like brushes already installed, different like resources that, you know, you can open up different tabs. There's like a 3D drawing doll like already in the program. There's a 3D program. There's a whole, you know, process for making manga pages and screen tones, and those resources are all there in the program. And I think my parents bought me Clip Studio Paint for my birthday, and it was on sale. It was only like $39.99. That's $39, and that is nothing. You know, I think usually it's $70 or $80. You'll have to check me on that, but it goes on sale all the time. And I don't pay monthly. Like, it's just one down payment, and then you own the program. So that was a benefit over Photoshop. Okay, so back to drawing. Right now, I've shaded everything. I'm adding all my little, you know, I'm coloring the lines. I'm adding my little white lines. And the white lines are there because I find it breaks up some of the color some. It makes it a little easier to see things. You know, if you have two colors that don't contrast a lot right next to each other, it makes it a little hard to see and it's not clear. So when you add that like white line, it adds a crispness, and you can see what's going on, and it breaks up the drawing a little bit. And like I said earlier, like 50 times, adds some dimension. So now I'm adding a little wing because I thought that'd be cute. When I draw and when I line and when I put in my flats, I do everything in like neon colors and blues and bright colors. That way I can just like see what I'm doing clearly. So I did, the wings aren't going to be neon green. I just did that because it, you know, it'd be easier to start off with. And then once I'm done with all the shading and I've colored in my line art, I like to add, you know, little elements, especially to my chibi drawings, because chibis are so simple as they are. I think it's beneficial to add cute details and just things that'll add to the piece as a whole. like little shapes, outlines, and stuff. And in a second, I'm gonna draw a bunch of little hearts around me. I don't know. I think so. We'll see. Right now, I'm fixing up line art. I don't really have like a chronological process. Every now and then I'll go back and I'll change stuff that when I see fit. You know, if I see something isn't filled in right, I'll go back and change it. So, you know, I have a really lax style of drawing. You know, it's not a specific process or anything. I'm really casual about it. So now I'm adding those little hearts, and I'm gonna merge all my layers in a little bit. I work with lots of layers. I think I use at least like 30 layers, and that's including like, you know, multiply layers and overlay layers. So I use like 30 layers in all my drawings, and I have to be really careful. I save a lot, because if, you know, once I hit like 40 layers, the program starts to get like, especially while I have my recording program going in the background. All right, so now I'm duplicating the layer, and I'm gonna add a blur to it, and that's something I do with all my drawings, and it makes it really soft. So you'll see I'm gonna blur it now, and I blur it I think about 15, and I set the opacity to 20. So it's small, and if you're not really paying attention, you can't really tell the difference. But I think to me it makes a big difference, and it's important to me. I'm just doing my watermark now. I don't have a very good signature. I have very bad handwriting, so I just do a watermark because it's easier for me, and I think it prevents some art theft. So there we go. All right, well, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll show the final product in a second. Bye!